We are live right now.
Thank you, Tammy. Good afternoon. My name is Tracy Metzger, and I'm chair of the City of Albany's Industrial Development Board. I'd like to call to our meeting to order today, July 16th. We'll move forward with the agenda as written. First item of business is the approval of the minutes, which have been previously distributed. So unless there's any questions or corrections, do I have a motion to approve?
I have one correction. I have one correction to the minutes in the section under Capitalize Albany Corporation Liberty Park Acquisition Assistance. It's noted that Capitalize Albany Corporation staff and board member Susan Petto returned to the meeting earlier than they actually had. Those members did not return until just after the vote and before other business. So if that could be corrected or considered as part of the board's consideration of the minutes, I'd appreciate it.
Thank you. So may I have a motion to accept the minutes with the inclusion of Sarah's changes?
So moved.
I'll make the motion. Okay, I'll second. Dominic.
Okay, Darius, Dominic, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Okay, Chief Financial Officer, Mark, please.
Sorry, Chair, if I may.
Yes.
Just a point of order and an administrative task. You'll see that underneath the discussion with respect to the minutes, there's a short reference to digital execution of the minutes. We just want to put in the record that we'll be using facsimile signatures, so the signature by the secretary to provide for the certification of the minutes to facilitate the delivery and the recording of the minutes.
Thank you, Joe. Okay, Mark.
Thanks, Chair. So for the month of June, there was no fee revenue coming into the IDA. The only revenue was for interest income. The expenses listed on the document are all approved by the board, either as part of the budget or approved in 2020. We've updated the projected information as the information is known as of right now. So the year-to-date ending cash balance is projected to be a little over $3 million at this point.
Thank you, Mark. Any questions there? Okay, thank you. Sarah, we'll move forward with the agency update.
Thanks, Tracy. I do have a couple of things under here. I do want to get into a little bit of a discussion of an update on the grant, but first, two housekeeping items. First, I hope you have all seen that the notice for the vacant board position did go out by the Common Council last week. Resumes or applications to fill that seat are due at the end of the month. It's Friday, July 31st. We are going to be publicizing that widely to attempt to have as much traction as we can from the community to fill that really critical seat vacated by Jaqueen earlier this quarter. To that end, and for a number of items, we will need to hold a governance committee meeting in August. Part of the governance committee's responsibilities are to help the Common Council by drafting ideal qualities and experience of IDA board members. And so we'll be doing that discussion during a governance committee meeting. We have a couple of other governance matters. The City of Albany Sustainability Group has made recommendations for some sustainability measures that may be able to be incorporated into our review process. So it'll give us an opportunity to go through those things as well. Those are sort of the general updates. In terms of the adaptation grant, we are moving forward rapidly with that grant program. Since the last time that we met, there has been a significant amount of guidance that has come out from the authority's budget office and the state related to that legislation, as well as to how they would expect industrial development agencies, Bob, to monitor and also administer the program widespread. We've been participating in all of those calls and webinars. I'm very glad to see that Hodgson Russ and Joe Scott has been a part of many of those as well, both asking questions and answering them to the best of anyone's ability at this point. So we have great counsel. There are a lot of moving parts to how the state expects that these are administered. As always, we will prioritize accountability and transparency. I think we have a good handle at this point on the absolute requirements of industrial development agencies related to the grant program. It's some of the best practices or the recommended approaches that we're still sort of feeling out. So what staff would like to do is be able to actually reach out directly to the authority's budget office with how we plan to tackle the project and get their insight. What we're hearing currently is that organization has been really relying on IDAs to use sound business judgment in their determinations. Part of that sound business judgment is to make sure that we're getting in front of them early, engaging them in the effort, so that we set ourselves up for success, not only for this program, but for any potential opportunities that the state would provide industrial development agencies in the future. So we're in direct contact constantly with the Economic Development Council for New York State, and we'll be in touch with the ABO as well. Our goal is to balance speed with responsibility. And so we are trying to do that. We're conscious of the clock ticking though on businesses needing assistance. So we're pushing forward quickly. As soon as we have a date for an announcement, we will start to coordinate that with you all to make sure as many people can participate as possible.
Do you expect that to be in the next couple of weeks, Sarah?
I do.
Great. And it's going to be, the funds and grants are going to be administered through Capitalize Albany, right?
They would be, we'd need to work through per the approval last month. We'd need to work through an agreement that is coming to you imminently. It will look very similar to the agreements that you've all seen from the Capital Resource Corporation for those other small business, the capital improvement programs that we have through Capitalize Albany Corporation. So at this point, we want to make sure that just everything is in it that is in that state guidance to ensure that we have the structure set up correctly.
Sure. Thank you. Anything else, Sarah?
That's all that I had under agency update. Am I missing anything, Andy or Tom or anybody? Okay.
Bernard, would you mind, could you just put some water in here from this thing?
Thank you. Okay, we'll then move forward with our new business. First item on the agenda is 16 Sheridan Avenue LLC. A little background, Andy? Sarah?
I think, Andy, were you going to introduce this?
Oh, I'm sorry. I froze up a little bit. Yeah, sure. Thank you. Administrative action related to this project we saw come through last month. This is in relation to a refinancing. The terms of the refinancing entity require that a Delaware LLC is utilized. Is requesting a change in ownership. The ownership is not an actual change in ownership. The sole member of the new LLC is 16 Sheridan Ave LLC. So the actual ownership remains the same. The applicant are here and Joe Scott can fill in any pieces that I missed, but this is strictly administrative with no new assistance being requested at this time.
Thank you. I think that the letter that accompanied and was part of our package explained why this was necessary. So I'll move forward with the resolution consenting to and authorizing the execution and delivery of certain documents with respect to the assignment and assumption of the 16 Sheridan Avenue LLC project. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it. This is Darius.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
I'll second it. Okay.
We'll go with Lee as the second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Resolution passes. The next item is Madison Properties of Albany LLC, 688 Madison Avenue.
Yes, this is another administrative action. Representative Anthony is on the line. This involves the property at 688 Madison Ave, and this resolution will be authorizing a refinancing as well. Again, this is strictly administrative with no new assistance being requested at this time.
Thank you, Andy. Okay, the resolution reads, resolution authorizes the execution by the City of Albany Industrial Development Agency of a certain mortgage and related documents in connection with the Madison Properties of Albany LLC project. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it, Darius.
Thank you. A second?
Yeah, I'll second it, Dominic.
Dominic, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Resolution passes. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Okay, our next item is 1211 Western Avenue Property Associates. We have a public hearing resolution. Obviously, this was moved at our last Finance Committee meeting. So unless there's any additional comments or discussion, I'd like to move forward and read the resolution.
Tracy, first, I want to just disclose, out of an abundance of caution, I've discussed with council recusing myself from discussion and any voting related to this matter because of my home's proximity to the project. Again, there had been no conflict discovered, but out of an abundance of caution, I've been doing that consistently. So if you'd like me to be placed in a waiting room during any voter discussion, we could do that at this time.
Understood. Thank you. Is there any discussion from the board on this resolution?
The only question that I have is whether or not more comments have come in since the last meeting.
Darius, I received one positive comment that came in late yesterday, so I can circulate that to the group.
Terrific, thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Okay, we have a resolution authorizing the Chief Executive Officer of the City of Albany Industrial Development Agency to hold a public hearing regarding a proposed project to be undertaken for the benefit of 1211 Western Avenue Property Associates LLC. Do I have a motion?
Hold on, before, just for discussion, can we just clarify this is just for the public hearing and that no actions being taken by the IDA on any request, please?
That is correct, Dominic. This is just for the public
Okay.
hearing.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it. This is Darius.
Thank you, Darius. A second?
I'll second. Lee.
Thank you, Lee. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Any opposed? Resolution passes. Thank you. Okay, at this point in time, we're going to move forward with a discussion or just really an update on the Liberty Park project. I believe that Sarah and Susan are going and staff are going to leave the meeting at this point.
And we can either leave the meeting or you can put us into a waiting room if you think that there's anything else to discuss after that agenda item. It is the last agenda item that we have to bring to you all. So we could either say have a nice afternoon or we'll see you later, depending on what you need.
Have a nice afternoon.
That's great.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
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 Let me know when we're ready, May. Thank you.
At this time, all CAC staff, along with Susan, have left. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. Joe, yes, we'd really like an update. Thank you.
Sure. Just quickly, we're moving forward with the appraiser, and the appraiser is proceeding with preparing the appraisal report. I would think that it would be ready, or at least a draft would be ready for the next meeting. But I'll circle with my partner Dick Weiss on that and get a better handle on what the delivery time for that is. That's with respect to the appraiser for the appraisal report. We have received a contract that's consistent with the terms that were approved at the last meeting, and I do need to get that signed by Tracy, and I'll do that in the next day or so. With respect to the second item that was discussed at the last meeting, the funding agreement, that's nearly finished. My expectation is that that'll be completed in the next couple of days. There is a meeting, a conference call scheduled this afternoon with the chair, with Sarah Reginelli, with council to review a couple of procedural steps, including the funding agreement. And again, my expectation is that that'll be completed in the very near future. So we're proceeding, and progress is being made, and obviously we'll have more to report at the next meeting. And if there's any comments or questions, please feel free to raise them.
Thank you, Joe. Any discussion, comments? Okay, glad to see this is proceeding. Any other business at this point? Okay, with that, I'd like a motion to adjourn, please.
Do we need a motion to get out of executive session, or?
We didn't go into
Oh,
executive.
we weren't I'm sorry, yes. I'll move to adjourn.
Thank you. A second?
I can second.
Thank you, Lee. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, everybody. Nice quick meeting.